Hello there, I'm here today from Hackney Libraries to tell you a story all about clothes. Today I am wearing a t-shirt and a pair of jeans. What are you wearing? Do you have on a shirt and a pair of trousers? Perhaps you're sitting watching in a skirt or a jacket. Maybe you've got a hat on or a scarf. Are you sitting comfortably? If you are, give me a big thumbs up. Great! I'm glad that you're comfortable. Perhaps in a moment you could pause the video and find a mirror. Maybe there's one on the wall in the room where you're watching today, or perhaps there's a handheld mirror that you can use, like this one. Have a look at yourself in the mirror. How do you think someone might describe your appearance today? Handsome? Beautiful? Well turned out? Trendy? Or just plain smart? Magic mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all? Well, I don't think it's me, but perhaps it's you. What do you think the you of 10 or 20 years ago would think about the way you're dressed today? At the end of this story, perhaps you could find some old photographs of what you looked like when you were younger and see how they compare to you today. Has your appearance changed?
Since the end of the Second World War, Hackney has welcomed people from all around the world who have brought with them their own cultures and fashions. Be it suits or saris, pearly kings or panto dames, today Hackney is proudly a diverse and vibrant place to live, where clothes matter. Be it the fabric sellers on Ridley Road Market or the outlet stores of Morning Lane, in Hackney you'll find dedicated followers of fashion.
They seek him here, they seek him there. His clothes are loud, but never square. It will make or break him, so he's got to buy the best, 'cause he's a dedicated follower of fashion.
But you gave away the things you loved, and one of them was me. I had some dreams, they were clouds in my coffee, clouds in my coffee, and you're so vain. You probably think this song is about you. You're so vain. I'll bet you think this song is about you. Don't you, don't you, don't you?
She was afraid to come out of the locker. She was as nervous as she could be. She was afraid to come out of the locker. She was afraid that somebody would see.
2, 3, 4, tell the people what she wore.
It was an itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini that she wore for the first time today. An itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini, so in the locker she wanted to stay.
I love holding old clothes. They remind me of the stories and events of my past. Before turning this video on to record today, I had a look through my drawers and wardrobe, and I found a few items to tell you about. The first is a watch. You might not be able to see it clearly on the camera, but it is a silver Seiko watch, and the strap is made of links and clasps at the back. This watch was given to me by my dad. I remember as a teenager going to the market, walking past the stalls into the jeweller's shop. I remember the jeweller putting this watch on my arm and adjusting the links so that it wouldn't fall off again. I wore this watch when I was a teenager and into my early 20s. It went everywhere with me, and I can remember regularly losing it when I went camping in the bottom of my sleeping bag. Unfortunately, it doesn't work anymore because when I was in my mid-20s, I went to the Eden Project in Cornwall, and it was so steamy in there that some steam got into the mechanism. And if you could see, you'll see that it's completely rusted up because of the water damage done there. But I keep it in my sock drawer. The second thing that I'd like to show you is this scarf. I am a huge football fan, and I visited many of the grounds that make up the Football League, including St James's Park in Newcastle. You might not be able to see, but that is the emblem of Newcastle United, and under it, it says Alan Shearer Testimonial 2006. I've made a special trip up to Newcastle, stayed in a hotel before going to the theatre that is St James's Park to watch what was Alan Shearer's last game. On the back of each seat they hung one of these black and white scarves, and at the end of the game, having watched all the stars of Newcastle past and present, there was a penalty awarded, and Alan Shearer, although he was unfit, limped onto the pitch and scored from the penalty spot. It was a truly magical moment, which, when I see this scarf, I'm reminded of. The last thing that I've found to show you is this coat. Now, this coat doesn't belong to me. It belongs to my daughter. Now, my daughter is now 4 years old, but this coat was hers when she was just 18 months old. And when I look at this coat, I remember all the hours that I've spent in parks in East London. She used to love going to play parks, and her favourite thing when she was this age was to go on a trampoline. Many's the time have I held the hands of a little girl bouncing on a trampoline with a big smile on her face, and this coat keeping her warm. Maybe at the end of this presentation, you could go and have a look at some of the clothes that you have in your wardrobe. What memories do they bring back for you? Today, I'm going to use hats and pieces of cloth to bring our story to life. I have this rather elegant piece of purple cloth. It is silky and luxurious, and I feel it will be perfect for a story like The Emperor's New Clothes. I also am going to use one of my favourite fabrics. I use this cloth whenever I'm telling tales about butterflies or mermaids. It shimmers in the sunlight, and unlike our silky purple cloth, were you to run your fingers over its surface, then you would be able to feel its sparkles. I'm going to show you some hats that are in our story today now. I have a top hat and a bowler hat. Now, I can't remember seeing anybody wearing a top hat in public, except maybe at a wedding. But do you remember a time when if you got on the tube, you might see gentlemen reading the newspaper, holding a briefcase with their umbrella tucked under one arm and their bowler hat? Do you know anybody who used to wear a bowler hat as part of their job? I am also going to use this hat, which should be familiar to most of us. It's a flat cap. Now, this flat cap used to belong to my grandfather. Today, though, I regularly see people out and about wearing flat caps for all kinds of different reasons. Do you have a flat cap or know someone who wears one? The last hat that I want to show you before I tell my story is this one. This is a schoolboy's cap. Long ago, in a city far, far from this place, there lived a great and powerful emperor. The emperor was a very important person. He would look down his nose at his subjects and his servants, and when he was out and about, he would give little regal waves to acknowledge the people. So think you could have a go at being the emperor? Wherever you're watching our video today, sit up on the spot where you are, and I'd like you to pretend to be very important by looking down your nose. Pretend you're very proud and important. Now, give a little regal wave, as if you're the Queen on a state visit. Well, you're looking like a mighty fine emperor. Thank you so much for joining in with our story. The emperor liked the finest things in life. The finest food, the finest company, and above all else, the finest clothes. He was forever sending his advisors out into the marketplace to find new cloth and fabrics. And in the run-up to the royal parade, this was more important than ever. You see, there would be a great day of feasting and dancing, but the parade would be the most important thing that happened. There'd be jugglers, dancers, acrobats and musicians, but then the emperor would walk through the city, waving to the people who would applaud him and his beautiful clothes. It was important that he looked his best. And so his closest advisors had been out into the city and brought back silky purple cloth for him to see. They had brought back shimmering rainbow textured fabrics for him. But the emperor had not been impressed. "Bring me something different," he had demanded. And one day, whilst out in the marketplace, the advisor had seen a tailor. Well, I say a tailor, but he wasn't really a tailor. He was a trickster, trying to get people away from their money. "Ladies and gentlemen, roll up, come and see this. Feast your eyes on this beautiful piece of cloth. It is magnificent and surely fit for an emperor." And whenever a child would walk past and say, "But mummy, he isn't holding anything," the tailor would just laugh and say, "Only a fool would not be able to see that this is a beautiful piece of cloth fit for an emperor. What would you say, sir?" And the advisor had said, "Oh, why, it is a fine piece of material, sir," because he did not want to look foolish in front of the people. And so the advisor had returned to the palace to see the emperor. And the emperor, hearing about the cloth, had said, "Bring me that man, and I will be fitted for a suit of clothes today." And so the tailor had been brought to the palace. "Your Majesty, feast your eyes on this beautiful piece of cloth fit for an emperor." And when one of the emperor's own sons had said, "But Daddy, he's not holding anything," the tailor had laughed and said, "Only a fool would say that this wasn't the most beautiful piece of cloth and fit for an emperor. What say you, Your Majesty?" And of course, the emperor had said, "Why, it is a fine piece of material, sir. Fit me for a suit of clothes today," because he didn't want to look foolish in front of his courtiers and servants. And so the tailor had fetched his measuring tape. Today we're going to have a very special measuring session. Wherever you're watching our video, I'd like you to hold your arms out in front of you. Hold them out in front of you so that your hands are more or less the same distance from each other. Now, I want you to try and stretch one of your hands forward. Try and stretch it as far as you can forward and then relax. And now let's try it with the other hand. Stretch the other hand as far forward as you can and then relax. Put your hands into your lap. Well done. Now, being careful of those people around you, stretch one arm out one way and the other arm out the other way. And we are going to try and stretch in each direction. So first of all, we're going to stretch one way, and then we're going to stretch the other way, being careful of those around us. And put your hands back in your laps. Finally, we are going to put our arms out in front of us, and we're going to try and stretch up into the sky. So stretch one hand as far forward as you can, and bring it back, and stretch the other arm out into the sky and bring it back, and pop your hands into your laps. Give yourself a pat on the back. Thank you for joining our measuring session. And after a few hours it was done. The suit of clothes was complete and the emperor was dressed. Well, I say dressed, but in reality he was wearing his hat and nothing else. Unless someone said something soon, on the royal parade day, the emperor would be going out into the street completely naked. The day of the parade came. First came the musicians. Then came the acrobats and the clowns. Then came the jugglers and the fire breathers. Finally, the emperor himself appeared, wearing his new suit of clothes and walking through the streets, waving to the crowds. As he walked, the crowds gasped. Can you gasp with me? You ready? After 3, 1, 2, 3. Nobody wanted to appear foolish by saying what was obvious, that the emperor was naked. But then one schoolboy said, "Look, Mum, the emperor's got no clothes on!" And it was as if a balloon had been popped. A massive relief across the whole crowd as a whisper went up. And the whisper became talk and chatter, and the chatter became laughter. The emperor is completely naked! And the emperor knew that it was true. He'd never been so humiliated in all his life. And the tailor who had sold him that suit of clothes was never seen again. Give yourself a pat on the back, take a round of applause. Thank you for joining in with our story. I hope that you've enjoyed our story today, and we look forward to seeing you in a Hackney library soon. But for now, bye-bye.